I would say it is really eye-opening to meet with someone that can teach you the basics on how to track meals, that weighing your meals and doing your macros is not nearly as hard as it's perceived by the general population, and the freaking weight regimen program is freaking money.
What's good, fam? Clark here from Alphall Kinetics. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the Level Up series. Appreciate you guys stopping by. In the previous vlog, we covered a push training session. In this vlog, we'll be tackling a pull training session covering the best tips, techniques, and training hacks I've used to render great results for myself as well as my clients. As per usual, for those of you who stick around for the entirety of the video, I'll have bonus free material at the end, so do stay tuned. Without further ado, let's get it. Okay, so the four main muscles we're going to be focusing on are our traps, lats, rhomboid, and lower back or erector spinae. These four main muscles make up the bulk of the back. This, coupled with the compound movements and other exercise we're using in this training session, is also going to target other muscles that make up the musculature of the back, such as the teres major and infraspinatus. So the main line of motions we'll be using to optimize the activation of these muscles are as follows. We'll focus on scapular retraction for our traps, shoulder adduction for our lats, or simply bringing our arms closer to our torso, scapular adduction for the rhomboids, or pulling your shoulder blades closer as we do in a roll-like manner. And then for the erector spinae, ideally we'd want to use some hyperextension movement to optimize this activation or engagement. However, the compound exercise we'll be using will still stimulate them with a little time under tension while complementing their main function, which is to stabilize and strengthen the spine. So we're going to start off with some warm-up sets here. I typically shoot for 2 to 4 acclimation sets, starting off with the bar and then working my way up to something light to moderate. Nothing too crazy, just enough to get my motor unit primed up for the first exercise. Foot placement, we want to keep it a little less than shoulder width apart. Going down for the bar, lift with your chest. Try to keep the bar as close to your body as possible. That way you have a relatively straight line of motion. Try to avoid starting with your hips too high or too low, because then you could just leverage more resistance to your lower back than you need to. Alright, a cool training tip or hack is to find a fixed point about 10 feet in front of you to focus on. That way it helps keep your head in a neutral position, driving up the workload. This overall helps you to effectively execute this specific movement. It's a game changer. Give it a try and let me know what you think. Next, we're rolling into the second movement for this training session, which is going to be the iconic pull-up. So starting off with hand placement, a wide grip, generally speaking, better complements to mid-trap, but causes limited range of motion, and it makes it more challenging for loading progression. With this grip, you're also more subject to risk, injury, or pain. A narrow grip, on the other hand, recruits more support from the biceps. So what we're going to do is put our hand placement a little more than shoulder width apart to effectively optimize the engagement of the lats, to pull the workload upwards, or your body upwards. It's also going to help us seclude unnecessary muscles. For those trying to push the envelope, I'd recommend adding extra workload to your progression scheme. For those having trouble with this specific movement, I'd recommend a good substitute, which is the exercise explained in the previous upper body training session. I'll link that below. If you are a complete beginner, just let me know below if you need extra help, and I'll create a video to help you learn how to execute this movement as well as progress in overall strength. Exercise number 3 is going to be the pendlay roll. So we're going to position ourselves as seen in the video. Avoid starting with the hips too high, because this is going to just cause the lower back to carry unnecessary load or resistance that could translate to injury. In addition to that, try to keep the bar relatively close to your shins like we do with a deadlift. Then with a firm overhand grip, just use your quads to help support you to power the workload upwards as seen in the video. Training hack: if you're up for the challenge, focus on controlling the workload downwards by slowing down your tempo, and then control the positive range of motion, your horizontal pull, by honing in on the muscle being engaged, which is your mid-back muscles. Next up, we're going to tackle the superset for this training session. The first part of that superset is going to be iso unilateral cable pull down. You can use a chest fly machine, adjust that machine for a unilateral movement as seen in the video. And then you can either execute this movement seated or half kneeling. Now the main difference with this stance is the half kneeling stance is going to elicit more engagement from your core to help stabilize your torso during this movement. Just something to keep in mind. With the one hand, you're going to simply pull down by bringing your elbow towards your torso, then return to the starting position slowly to optimize a full stretch of your lats. Now, training tips and hack: use relatively moderate to heavy workload, since our main goal will be to optimize the negative range of motion. As previously mentioned, try to focus on driving your elbows to your torso rather than just pulling from the top of the movement to your chest. Otherwise, you will be engaging more of your biceps than necessary. And then for optimal mind to muscle connection, use the free hand to touch the muscle being worked, which are your lats. We are going to follow up this exercise with the second part of the superset, which is going to be the Meadows row, another unilateral movement. What we're going to do is, using a landmine setup, we're going to grip the bar with an overhand grip as seen in the video and stand beside the bar. It's important to note that if you stand too far backwards, you will inevitably turn the movement into a more of a curl with unnecessary engagement of the biceps. Whereas if you stand too far forward, you're going to limit the range of motion and impede on your overall loading progression. So a good rule of thumb is to simply stand parallel to the bar, or parallel with your grip, where your forearm remains most perpendicular to the ground throughout the full range of motion. Pretty simple. Pull the workload upwards, control both the negative and positive range of motion. And a cool training hack is you can leverage the resistance to your upper mid back by simply increasing the angle between your elbows and torso. In other words, the further your elbows are from your torso, the more you're going to leverage resistance to your upper mid back region. And then the closer your elbows are to your torso, the more you're going to leverage it lower or downwards towards your lats. So use whichever stance most complement your current fitness goals. Exercise number 5 is going to be static face pulls. We're going to execute this movement lying down. Now by lying down, we're going to sort of stabilize the posterior chain and hone in on proper form. It's easy to get carried away with heavy workload, breaking form, which can lead to unnecessary injury. So this is my mini way of mitigating that, ensuring that we optimize the range of motion by starting from a set position and ending at a set fixed position as well. So we're simply going to grab the rope attachment with an overhand grip and lie on the ground with knees bent as seen in the video for additional stability. From there, we're going to retract the scapula and pull the rope towards your face. Pretty simple. The final exercise for this training session is going to be a bicep movement. Simply put, we're going to execute standing cable curls. It's pretty straightforward. What you're going to do is hold the cable or rope using an isometric grip and execute curls, employing the same mechanics that you would while executing dumbbell hammer curls. And that's pretty much all she wrote. Listen, I hope you found some value in this video. If you did, you know what to do. Show your boy some love, give the video a thumbs up. The support goes a long way. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, just drop it in the comments section and I'll get back to you ASAP. If you don't have any questions, comments, or concerns, my question to you is, I want to hear your favorite pull training exercise, especially if it's one that's not covered in this video. Bonus material, I'll leave a free downloadable file down below with a layout for this training session, everything that we covered. If you find it useful, please let me know so that I'm sure to include it in subsequent videos. The next video is definitely going to complement this training session, so you don't want to miss it. On that note, I'll see you next week, same place, same time, right here. Until then, peace.